There's a massive scratch on the glass.
This is going to be the most expensive Omega there is in the world.
It ripped off the customer for the James Cameron at 8K.
No, if it was unworn, we would pay 12.
I couldn't recreate that patina if I tried.
Do you mind if I have a look?
Feel free.
Bimetal Aquaracer, automatic. So this is a bimetal Submariner 2015 model. So it's a 116613LN. So I'm just checking to see if the bezel is working and it's smooth and it only goes in one direction with the Submariner. I then just take the crown out to the first setting and just wind it gently just to see if there's any light resistance. With this, bezel's fine. Check the ceramic to see if there's any marks. There's not. The crown seems to be winding fine.
Yeah, you see dealers kind of run their finger around the glass
as
well.
Yeah, we do. Well, the first thing I noticed is there's a massive scratch on the glass.
Right.
So I don't need to run my finger around because it needs a new glass. Out of everything that can be wrong with it, the movement, the ceramic bezel, the pearl at the top even, the glass is the least expensive thing to replace. So that's fine. And obviously the rest of the watch is well worn, but it's never been polished, and when with a polish it will be as good as new.
This Oris box is almost competing with the size of an Omega box.
It is, it's like a two-blow box, isn't it? Wow. Like a flight case.
It should be safe and sound in that.
Wow, so that is a big watch. So it's a Oris Chronograph automatic diving watch. Obviously it has the bracelet, but it comes with a rubber strap with a clasp, and there's a couple of little vials there with screwdriver ends and things like that.
I kind of feel like with that watch, if you went diving with it, you might not come back up.
No, I have been diving with that one.
Oh, have you actually?
Yes, it's a it's a professional. It's nitrogen filled, so.
Ah, right, okay. It's not often, that we'll get people who have a dive watch that have actually been diving with it. So what kind of depth would that watch go down to? Is it a...
Say it's 1 kilometre on it.
More than any human would go down.
I don't fancy.
Yes.
Don't fancy swimming that deep, mind. Titanium.
Got a paperwork here, 2015.
Okay, so I'll start with the Rolex. If we were buying that, we would pay 8,000. If you wanted us to sell the watch on your behalf, 9,000. Both of those figures, I would need to deduct £200 because the watch needs a new glass, and before we can sell it, I would need to replace it with a Rolex crystal. With this one, if we were buying it, we would pay £800. And if you wanted us to sell the watch on your behalf, I think it's realistic to expect a return of a minimum of £1,000. With the Oris, it's difficult. I think it's something that's a bit more specialist or specific to what we would buy and sell. I think if you can have a look to make sure you've got the card, that's going to make a difference because it'll be easier for us to sell if it's a full set and it has everything with it. If I was to put a figure on it, I think with the card, probably a similar amount to this. I'm looking at them for sale anywhere from £1,200 up to £2,000, depending on the condition and what they have with it. But us buying it, we have to base it on what they're available for. So again, we would buy it for £800 and consign it for £1,000. What are your thoughts with these two?
I'll shop them around and see what they come up with.
Yes, of course, no problem at all.
So this week we are going to respond to some of the comments that you left on the previous video. Please let us know if you like this section or if you don't in the comments, so we know whether you want to see more of it in the future. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Josh so we can share some opinions and thoughts on what you guys had to say. So in the last episode, we had a customer who traded a 16660 Deep Sea James Cameron, and he also had the 116500 LN, which is the black dial steel ceramic Daytona, and he traded that in for a white gold Oysterflex Ghost, which one of my personal favorite Oysterflex models. This guy says, I did just the opposite. I traded my Panda for a Sprite and cash. Always wanted a Panda, but didn't enjoy wearing it because it's hard to instantly tell the time. That said, I'll be trading the Sprite for a root beer soon. So right now, would you trade a Panda for a Sprite? If we say a Panda is like, what, 25k?
Around 25 to 26,000.
And then how much is a Sprite, say on Jubilee?
16.5 to 17,000.
So let's say you could have a Panda or you could have a Sprite plus 9,000. What would you rather have right now?
Me personally, I would rather have a Sprite and £9,000 back in my account.
Why?
Because I think the growth the growth potential the Sprite has, with it being a left-handed watch, I think that it probably will discontinue. And obviously there's a lot more Daytonas in the market than there is probably Sprites. Over a long period of time, maybe a Daytona might outperform it. But for me right now, I love the look of the Sprite. I've loved it since it got released last year or 2 years ago. And that's the one that I would take. Have the money in my account, maybe invest it in another watch.
So money aside then, which watch do you prefer the look of? The Sprite or the Daytona Panda? That's a hard one.
Probably for me right now, truthfully, Sprite Jubilee.
Okay, so these next comments are a little bit negative, and we don't think these kind of comments are very constructive or particularly useful to anyone, but we can share some thoughts on these opinions. They ripped off the customer for the James Cameron at 8K, 17K for a Daytona, and then he's put a laughing emoji face. The markups are way too much. So firstly, people selling watches aren't dumb. Like when selling a car or jewelry or a mobile phone, people will shop around to get the best offers that they can. It's quite disrespectful to the customers to suggest that they don't do their own research before accepting an offer. Rhodium Yacht-Master is so underrated, one of my favorites in the collection. Yeah. So let's just say a 2024 Rhodium Yacht-Master on the market, I think they're like 10,000 something RRP.
10,500 RRP.
And on the market, what, we're looking at like 12 and a bit grand?
Yeah, probably anywhere from 11.5 to probably 12.5, age dependent. Obviously it came out in 2016, 2017, so you can get an older model, but the current model is going to be around £12,000.
Okay, so what alternatives can you get? Let's say 12,000. Do you think it's underrated, one?
One, I think it's very underrated. Two, the other watches you could get for around that kind of budget is obviously Submariner Date, Submariner Non-Date, pretty much any date, just 41.
Could you get an old Batman, like a 2014 first generation?
It would be stretching the budget. I think an old Batman would probably be around 13,000, I want to say, 13 onwards. The direct comparisons would probably be a Submariner Date, Submariner Non-Date. They would stick out, or maybe it's a Datejust 41.
I would say, yeah, the Datejust 41 with the slate dial.
Yeah.
So that's the same colour as the Wimbledon, but with the normal batten markers. I would say that's probably a close-ish look, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all one colour. Obviously on the Yacht-Master, you've got the baby blue hand, which is very popular. Cool. But yeah, I would say it's underrated.
Yeah, I would say, I think people lean towards the more popular models, or the models that the thing's been around longer, so they've got longevity in the market, maybe with the pricing. But I think a Yacht-Master is a bit of a hidden gem, truthfully. Yeah, for sure.
And you see less of them. Yeah. Not only do less of them get bought and sold at Watchtrader, but you see less people with them on their wrist. Now, for some people, that's going to be a good thing. I would say that is a good thing.
And so for some people, they might think it's a bad thing. That might not be popular, but each to their own. I think it's underrated. I think it's a lovely watch with the baby blue marker. It's quite rare as well. So.
Okay, is everyone on board with spending 6K to go from an Explorer 2 to a BLNR? Seems mad to me. Can anyone help me understand why you might want this? Well, the GMT-Master 2 BLNR, otherwise known as the Batman, is one of the most in-demand watches in the Rolex catalogue. It's far more popular than the Explorer 2. However, this is just the market opinion, and the Explorer 2 is a great watch and is objectively no lesser of a watch than the GMT-Master 2. In fact, they're both GMT watches. The retail price on the BLNR is £9,350, and the Explorer 2 is £8,500 here in the UK. So there isn't a great deal of difference. However, at present, it is much more difficult to get a BLNR from the AD than an Explorer 2. To get one brand new from an official Rolex dealer all depends on your relationship with the store and how much money you have spent with them. There are no guarantees that you will receive a watch from an AD, so paying $6,000 to trade from an Explorer 2 to a GMT-Master 2 Batman might be more cost effective for the customer in this case. It's not possible to say, but we're sure that they will have weighed up their options and it was the best possible solution for them at the time. GMT/Submariners look and feel better with the Oyster bracelet. To me, the Daytona Ghost is gorgeous. Well, we already agree that the Ghost is a gorgeous watch. Now, obviously the Submariner you can only get on an Oyster.
Yeah.
The GMTs you can get on an Oyster or a Jubilee. What do you think, like, so professional models or sports models, do you think they look better on Oyster or Jubilee?
It's a hard one because I think the Batman GMT I think looks best on the Oyster, which is the original configuration, and I think the Pepsi on a Jubilee looks better than the Oyster. So it's kind of it all comes down to personal preference. There's no right or wrong answer.
Does.
It comes down to personal preference.
I think you've got to look at what else you've got in the collection.
Yeah.
If you have a Submariner that's on an Oyster, and then it might be nice if you're going to get a GMT, which aesthetically looks
Jubilee.
similar.
Yeah,
you could get it on the Jubilee. It gives you more versatility. Again, it depends if you've got a date just on Jubilee
or Oyster.
and then you go for a GMT. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to take that on the Oyster bracelet.
Okay, so we have Yacht-Master 40 chocolate dial. Has everything with it, links, booklets. If we were buying the watch, we pay 10,800, and if you want us to sell the watch on your behalf, we can return 11,800. The reason being is the watch needs a good polish before it can be sold. It's a popular watch and I would expect to sell it within 30 days.
So not the 12.
No, if it was unworn, we would pay 12, or we would return 12 on consignment. But as you can see, if I advertise it like this, it won't sell. Whereas once we've spent £200 on a polish, it will be brand new, like the day you bought it, and that's what somebody would want to buy. What are your thoughts?
I wanted the 12, to be honest. Aye, go ahead then.
Okay, do you have a driving licence with you, please?
Recent purchases, starting with a 50s Amiga, which has got the most amazing patina on the dial. 10, 15 years ago, I would have took this dial out, sent it straight to the dial restorer and had something done about it. But I couldn't recreate that patina if I tried. It's just amazing. It's got gold markers, gold accents, gold hands. It's a stainless steel watch. The only thing that I'm going to say about it is I'll put it on a brown leather strap because it will look amazing on a brown leather strap. The next watch is a recognised watch brand which comes in quite a unique original Breitling box. Always nice to see things like this. This is a watch that I've never owned. It's a Breitling and it's called a football. It's got an Amiga buckle on and it's got a little bit of a tired strap. I think, once again, a nice tan strap. I'll not be putting a Breitling buckle on unless a customer asks. 50s vintage chronograph from a recognised watchmaking house, Breitling. If that watch was full 18K, which they make it in, but it's not. It's got a stainless steel back, so it's gold capped, it's gold plate. But I think that watch is a £2,000 retail watch. That's fully serviced, checked by ourselves with 12 months warranty. Now then, there's a watch that is very, very topical. It's a 1940s, an Amiga Dirty Dozen. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what the Dirty Dozen was, during the war, the military asked for watch companies to produce some military watches. So the likes of Amiga, IWC, Longines, Jaeger, they're the top ones. Then there was another not so noticed watch brands that are the rarest, and believe it or not, the ones that nobody wanted, possibly quite valuable now because of the rarity. I think the rarest one is a company called Grana. Right. And I think it was possibly the one that's been thrown away, the one that's been scrapped, the one that nobody thought. I've bought this watch, and in all the years that I have been buying vintage and buying these, and I've had many of these, I have never seen a case so sharp in such good condition. Now, I don't think that this has been refinished. I don't think it's been refurbed. There is some oxidization on the hour hand that when you close up on it, Harry, you'll be able to see, but it's totally original. You can buy a poor example of one of these for around about £2,000. It's not very often I say this, but this is going to be the most expensive Omega Dirty Dozen there is in the world because of the condition. I think this watch is £3,500. It's very expensive, but it's very good. And the final watch, because these watches were all bought together, so that's why I've left them together, is a watch that when I first got it, I thought, oh, this watch is not right. And it's a 5500 Rolex. It is effectively an Air King case, and it has the correct movement in, but at first I thought it had the wrong case back, which I've done a little bit of research and I don't think it is. Because of that, it's had hands put in, which are modern, so hour hand, minute hand, second hand, and the dial has been retouched. There's a little bit of damage to the dial. I didn't think it was right, but the more time that I spend with it, the more time that I think it is right. So it's an Explorer dial. It's a Singer dial, which is a right plate. Singer's the company that made the plates for Rolex in these dials. Give us your thoughts on this. It's a 1105 case back, a 1520 movement for the anoraks, and a 5500 case. I've seen them advertised between £7,000 and £17,000 today. A wrist check in 1973, fully original Rolex 1680 red writing Submariner.
I have a gentleman who is looking to part exchange his non-ceramic steel GMT. So this is a GMT-Master 2 with the black bezel, and it is in immaculate condition.
So that's the Master 2, so that's a 16710.
16710, and it's from the early 2000s. I think it's 2001.
So what's the market value of something like that at the moment?
I think if we were buying it, it would be around 7,500, and I think on consignment we could return between 8 and 8,500.
Do you remember how much it was when it was new? Out of interest.
It was 2,100.
2,100 in 2001.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
But it has everything with it, both swing tags, and it really is in fantastic condition, so it will make a good watch for somebody. It has the calendars, all of the Oyster booklets, so it's a full set. So the gentleman is looking for a Mark II James Cameron. We currently have a Mark I, so what I'm going to do for the time being is put this watch on consignment, and I would hope to find a Mark II James Cameron within a week or two.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Deal of the Week, Deal of the Week, Deal of the Week. And we've got an RM. I'm only joking, but we do have an RM. This one is a RM 1101. Philip and Massa, if you're interested in any RMs, hook us up. Josh is here. Aren't you there, Josh? Pop in. Josh is here. He's your RM master. You sell 2 this week.
Deal to be done.
But the deal of the week is the Breitling Avenger, this one. It is stock number 577. It is 43mm. It is a 2022 model with box, with papers. That's the watch there. It is in pristine condition, like brand new. Now, this watch is retail on this watch is £3,400. On our website, it is £2,450. I was going to do this watch for, I was going to knock £300 off it. I'm not. I can save you £1,500 on the list price. List price is £3,400. It's a 2022, like brand new, and I can do it for deal of the week, deal of the week, deal of the week for £1,900. £1,900 on stock number 5777. And there's the RMs. Any RMs, hit Josh up.